From the Oklahoman Newsroom, this is a Varsity Update. I'm Jenny Carlson. It's been 20 years since the Edmond Schools split and started the rivalry that we now know as Edlam. Scott Wright and Jacob Unruh are taking a look at the 20th anniversary, and Scott Wright joins us on the phone to talk about this a little bit. Scott, doesn't seem possible that it's been 20 years since the Edmond Schools had that big split. Obviously went into Edmond Memorial, Edmond North, Edmond Santa Fe. Then the schools started playing each other. And we've seen a lot of great games over the years. What have you guys found out as you've sort of dug into this anniversary, this 20-year mark for this rivalry?
Well, it has been a lot of fun looking back at a lot of this. We went back and got all the scores of all the games. You know, look back through some of the fun names that have popped up in Edlam history. You know, obviously we all know the big ones: Brandon Whedon, Reggie Smith, Kelly Gregg. But going back through some of these games and reading about guys that you know, maybe didn't even go on to college football after Edlam, but had their bright shining moment on the field there and had a lot of fun. So we found some really interesting games, some overtime games, a few playoff games that the teams have met up in. You know, we break down the records, who has the most wins and the most city championships and all of that, and it's really been a pretty evenly fought series, surprisingly. But it's been really fun digging into the history of all of these games.
You know, anytime a big school splits like this, and Edmond High, when it was just Edmond, was obviously a power in so many different areas sports-wise. You always wonder, you know, how long is it going to take? Are the schools going to be able to, you know, become powers in and of themselves? And Scott, we've really seen, I mean, you mentioned how evenly matched the Edlam rivalry has been over the years. We've really seen all three schools have their moments of success on the football field, and that's not always necessarily the case when you see bigger districts go through these splits.
Yeah, exactly. You look at what happened in the Moore district when they added Southmore. Now they went from two schools to three. Edmond went from 1 to 3 all at the same time, and so but you know, Moore High really struggled after the Southmore split occurred, and so a split can be kind of damaging to one side. But in the Edlam rivalry, you see the Edmond Memorial won their first 4. The 96 games and the 97 games, they beat Edmond North and Edmond Santa Fe both times. But after that, the other guys caught up, and it was a showdown after that. Now we're to the point that Edmond Memorial actually has the fewest wins out of all three schools, and as far as city championships, Memorial and Santa Fe each have 6. Edmond North has 5, and they've tied a couple of years where they all three beat each other. But this is it. Really, after those first 2 years, everybody got caught up, got on the same page, and they've all had their success. They've all you know, had good playoff runs at some time during this last 20 years, and it's really been in the true sense of the word a good rivalry between these three teams.
Lastly, Scott, tell us the Edlam games this year. Obviously, the first one is this week, week 1, but give us the rundown of when these games play out, because one of them, at least, is a district matchup.
That's exactly right. We've got one coming in the regular season, and around week 7, if I remember right. We've got them back to back this week and next week. Get started. Edmond Santa Fe and Edmond North fires it off this week, and that's one of the focuses of this story that we're writing. Is Andy Rasmussen has been on the Edmond Santa Fe coaching staff for all 20 years of this rivalry, and on Friday night his son Drew is going to be making his first Edlam start. Now, he made a couple of starts last year as a backup, but he'll be making his first Edlam start on the field Friday night out there at UCO.
Wow, building history and a lot of memories. As you mentioned, some of those names, some of those players, obviously hundreds of high school football players over the years involved in that rivalry. Great stuff, Scott. And we look forward to that on Friday in the Oklahoman from Scott Wright and Jacob Unruh. You can check it out there or on News OK. And be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.